The events of the third part begin at the amusement park, where a McKinley High student was present. They had just finished graduating, so they were going to have fun and take some nice pictures. The most important people in this batch are our gang, our group, which consists of Wendy and her boyfriend Jason, Carrie and her boyfriend Kevin, and there's a fool named Frankie who was always hitting on the girls. There were also many other students. You'll get to know them. Wendy was responsible for filming on this trip, and she was literally filming everything and everyone. She was going with her boyfriend Jason, Kevin, and Carrie to ride the roller coaster, but Wendy was a bit anxious about it and scared of the roller coaster. As they were walking towards the ride, Wendy meets her younger sister Julie and argues with her, telling her she shouldn't be there and threatening to tell on her. Anyway, the group got on the roller coaster, but Wendy was afraid, so Jason reassures her, telling her not to be scared and to just try it once in her life. Wendy finally agrees so she won't seem cowardly. Her and Jason's seats were in the first row, but she gets scared and tells Jason she doesn't want to sit in the front, so she switches places with Carrie and sits in the back with Kevin. Jason rides with Carrie and all their friends get on the roller coaster, including Frankie, who was holding a camera even though it wasn't allowed, so he puts it in his pocket. The ride starts, but under the roller coaster there was some hydraulic fluid leaking, which was responsible for the brake system, but no one noticed. The roller coaster starts moving, everyone is excited, and Frankie takes out his camera to film, but it slips from his hand and falls onto the tracks. When the roller coaster passes over it, it loses balance, there's an electrical short, and it starts moving crazily. The safety bars holding the riders in place start to come loose, and the wheels fly off, causing the cars to separate and people to fall out. Literally everyone on the roller coaster dies except Wendy and Kevin. The roller coaster gets stuck high up, so Kevin tries to shift his weight to move it, but it hits something and splits in two. Finally, Wendy falls from the last car and dies too, but then she wakes up from the nightmare and realizes they're still just sitting on the roller coaster and it hasn't started yet. Wendy starts screaming, telling them to let her off quickly, so she and Kevin, who was next to her, get off, and another guy named Lewis gets off too because the ride was stopped. He gets into a fight with Kevin, and Aaron, who was in the car, hits. Then she and her boyfriend Ian get off to join the fight. Ashley and Ashlyn get off too, and Frankie gets off, but Jason and Carrie stay on the ride. Jason asks the guard to let him off to check on Wendy, but the roller coaster starts moving before he can get off. Wendy runs after the coaster, but the guards don't believe her and the train moves and the accident happens, and Jason, Wendy's friend, and Carrie, Kevin's friend, die. 2 days after the accident, Kevin meets Wendy at school and tries to talk to her, but she refuses to talk to him because she is devastated and traumatized by her boyfriend's death. Kevin tells her he also lost someone in the accident, not just her. Then he tells her he searched online about what happened and found that something similar happened on Flight 80, where one of the passengers had a vision of the plane exploding and got off with 7 others. The plane exploded, but the people who got off died later in other accidents, in the same order as on the plane. Anyway, Wendy doesn't believe Kevin and leaves. Later, Wendy goes home, and her sister Julie argues with her for taking her bracelet, but Wendy cries and tells her she feels guilty about not saving Jason. Julie comforts her, telling her it's not her fault, and asks to borrow the camera. Wendy agrees but wants to look at the photos first. She remembers Kevin's words and starts to feel a strange sense that someone is going to die. She remembers that Ashley and Ashlyn, the first ones who died in the dream. She tries to call them but no one answers. Meanwhile, Ashley and Ashlyn go to a tanning salon to get a tan. The guy at the salon is busy with an important call, so he leaves and props the door open since he doesn't have the key. Ashley and Ashlyn go into the tanning booths, and Ashley has a juice box with her, which she puts on the table. They set the temperature and go inside, but some juice spills from Ashley's box onto the control device, causing a short circuit and making the temperature rise. The air conditioning blows harder, knocking over their stuff, which falls and blocks the booth. The girls try to get out as the heat increases, but they can't open the booths. They scream, and the salon owner hears them, but the wind slams the door shut, and he can't get in. The temperature keeps rising and the girls start to burn and scream from the heat. The glass of the booths breaks, the devices catch fire from the short circuit, and they burn to death inside. Wendy and Kevin meet at the girls' funeral, feeling strange and realizing that what he said was true. Death really is coming for them. He asks her who's next, and she says They rush to warn him, but just then, a car swerves off the road and nearly hits them. They try to open the door to get out, but can't, so Kevin breaks the front window, and they get out. Their car crashes into a line of parked cars, the first of which has Frankie inside. His head is crushed when the cars hit him from behind, but Wendy and Kevin only realize it after he's already dead. They conclude that the accident wasn't meant for them but for Frankie, who was next in line. After Frankie, it's Lewis's turn, so they go to the gym to save. After explaining what's going on, He doesn't believe them and says he'll never die. He starts working out, showing off his strength, and is on a machine with weights suspended above him. He's lifting hard, and the weights above start shaking. Suddenly, the cables snap, but they don't hit Lewis. Instead, they cut the cables holding the weights. Lewis gets up to celebrate that the weights missed him, and tells Kevin, "Death is afraid of me." He pulls the machine one last time, but because the cable was cut, the weights crash into his head from both sides, crushing his skull, and he dies too. Wendy starts to feel like they can't escape, and that everyone will die. Kevin tells her they have to try and find Ian and his girlfriend Erin, so they go to them. He's trying to convince them, and also asks them who was sitting behind him because they don't remember whose turn it is. But Erin and Ian keep making fun of them. He continues working in his workshop, which was full of sharp objects, and there was a lift that he accidentally closes a box on, and that box lands on the gas pedal, causing it to move on its own and start pushing the shelves, making everything fall out of place. Wendy warns Ian before he falls onto the wood and saves him, but Erin falls onto the nail gun, and her chance is ruined as a nail shoots out and she dies. After that, Kevin tells Wendy, "We don't know whose turn it is. Probably the person whose turn it was is dead, so now it's our turn. I go first, then you, right?" Wendy replies, "Yes, right, but we can escape, like we helped Ian." Kevin tells her, "Okay, go look at your pictures. Maybe you'll find some clue to help us figure out whose turn it was. Maybe we can save them." She searches through the photos and finds the one where they were sitting in front of her, and sees a girl's hand in front of her, and that hand was wearing the same bracelet as her sister Julie. She realizes that Julie and her friend were the ones sitting there, but Wendy hadn't noticed. Kevin is at the same fair where Julie is, so he starts looking for her. Wendy is on her way, but as she's driving, someone is following her. She arrives at the festival, and they're all looking for Julie. Kevin finds her and talks to her, but she tells him to stay away and runs from him. At that festival, there were a lot of fireworks, so some mischievous kids put explosives under a horse that was there. So the horse got scared and started running, and its rope was tied around Julie's neck and pulled her with it. Kevin chases her and cuts the rope just in the nick of time. Otherwise, Julie's face would have been smashed by the nails that were about to hit her, and they save Julie. They ask her which of her friends was sitting next to her, but before Julie can answer, her friend gets hit in the back by a wooden plank that was kicked by a horse, and killed her instantly. After Julie and her friend, it's now Kevin's turn, and he's terrified of everything happening around him. But suddenly the horse kicks him onto the grill and Kevin's face falls onto the fire of the grill, but Wendy pulls him away and saves him, and his face only gets minor burn. After that, Wendy tells Kevin that it's her turn, and that Ian will be the cause of her death. Indeed, Ian comes in that day, and it turns out he was the one following Wendy by car. He came to take revenge for his friend from Wendy, but there were water rides behind Wendy and Kevin. Wendy sees them, so she ducks down and tells Kevin and Julie to duck, and the water rides hit the lift behind Ian and crash into him. He says, "Don't try, you can't kill me, you're the one who will die." But before he can finish, a wooden board from the lift falls on him and pins him down, killing him. That's how Wendy saved herself and ended the cycle of death. After that, some time later, Wendy rides the subway, and while she's on it, she feels the same sensation she had during the train accident. She thinks about getting off, but there are too many people at the station, and they block the door so she can't get out. She runs into Julie by chance, who is also riding the subway, so she greets her, but the door closes. Julie tells Wendy, "Don't worry, I'm Wendy, and Kevin is safe. Death has passed us." She feels a little reassured, but by coincidence, they discover that Kevin is in the same car with them. Wendy realizes that something is wrong, and before she can process what's happening, the subway train flips, and Julie is the first one to die after that. Kevin falls from the window that is broken, and turns into sauce, and Wendy's thrown from the car but she is still alive. But tell her not to move, there is a subway coming in the opposite direction, and crashes her and she dies. But it turns out that this is just a vision like last time, and the subway hasn't crashed yet. She runs and pulls the emergency brake, but the screen goes black, and the movie ends. But we hear the sound of the subway flipping over.